To rate the games of week 14. I had a lot of fun in this week. I would just like to point that out here before we get into this. I felt like there were some very interesting storylines this week. And as we heat into the playoffs, it's just going to get a little more dicey. I like it. So, first things first, Thursday Night Football, little Bailey Zapp magic against Mike Tomlin. He wins. Rate the games, boys.
I'll start off and I'll say it was a MIDterranean Sea game. I was impressed with the play of Bailey Zappi in the first half. I think that he is probably going to be the starter for the Patriots for the rest of the year, and I'm interested to see how he does. Obviously, he's had less time than Mac Jones, although I think currently right now they're somewhat interchangeable depending on the game. So we'll have to see. I think I think you have the same situation on the quarterback side of the Steelers as well. I think Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky are pretty interchangeable too. Although I find it funny, the Steelers fans hate Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, they do.
They were calling for him to be benched from the start of the game.
Yeah.
Which, and in actuality, he played like just as good as like Kenny Pickett would. And they don't. As far as the other Steeler games I've watched, they're not booing from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Unless Canada was screwing things up, but he's gone too. So
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
I agree with Dodge. A game that should have been a shit show, I thought, going into it, actually turned into a pretty mid game. I would have, beat the over at 30, which was surprising to me. But the Steelers, for them, I thought their problems would be solved getting rid of Matt Canada, new quarterback, and they don't look good still, and they're probably going to fall out of the playoffs now. So I think Mike Tomlin's just going to try to fight for that over 500 record, but we'll see. They're not playing good at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you guys. I'm going to get on the Titanic of the MIDterranean Sea. And I say Titanic because it was it was still a shit show to watch, but it was still entertaining. So that's why it's mid. But I think Steelers made a little bit of a comeback there. The quarterback situations on both sides are interesting just because you have two backups. It's crazy how many backups we've seen this year. I would just like to point that out. We are really seeing the depth at quarterback and the lack thereof. But Western Kentucky product, Bailey Zappi got it done. You gotta give it to him. So, good for the Patriots. They're now nowhere near the playoffs. They actually got eliminated from the contention. So good for them on that Thursday night win. Going to Sunday, we've got Bucks Falcons. Anybody want to talk about it?
I think we should implement NFC South category where it was actually one of the more entertaining, I guess, games for the NFC South, but it was still just kind of a shit show because that division just sucks. And it's a three-way tie at 6-7 right now. But I'm glad the Bucks won because I think they have the most potential, if there is any, out of that division.
Well, I was surprised the Bucks won in this NFC South game, which I think should be its own category. And because the Bucks kind of were outplayed, except for the turnover, and yet they found a way to win. Baker could not get the ball. Baker and Mike Evans could not connect. 6 targets, 1 catch. I don't think I've seen such a terrible game. I'm Mike Evans on my fantasy team. I haven't had that bad of a game all year. But no, I think it was Mediterranean game. I think both these teams are not great, but both might make playoffs. So who knows?
Yeah, the NFC South. I'm sure you guys have seen this graphic too. every single one of their teams has a worse record than every team in the AFC North. And I think that just speaks volumes to this division. They make really bad teams not look entertaining. So you thought I was going to say entertaining, didn't you? No, that's not. So I don't want to talk about this anymore. I have nothing to comment. No, nothing good. Bears, Lions, Dodge. You said on this podcast last time, the Lions are frauds. And you were proven right. How you feeling over there, big guy?
I'm feeling like all I speak is the truth. Call me Paul Pierce.
Bold takes on the logical nonsense.
Yeah, the Lions have not looked dominant. And this game was for them a shit show. I'm gonna go MIDterranean because the Bears actually didn't look bad. Fields continued to play good. And I think he's solidifying that the Bears should not get Caleb Williams. Stick with Fields. Go get someone to help. So, yeah, I'm going to go MIDterranean Sea. The Bears aren't as bad as people thought. Lions aren't as good as people thought.
Kid?
Yeah, I think it's more of a shit show overall for me, just because 5 weeks into the season, we were like, Goff, MVP. This dude is playing unreal right now. And teams have figured him out in the last 5 or 6 weeks. It has been a struggle for him. And last week, we got mad at the defense for not carrying their end. This week, the offense couldn't carry their end. This game was kind of close, not very good the first half, tied at 13. Then the Bears line up on 4th and 13, get it offsides, throw a deep pass to DJ Moore for a touchdown, get a turnover, score again with Fields, and just blew this game out of the water. And so now the Lions, it seemed like they had a hold on their division, kind of. They fall out? They have some tough games too to finish the year. They'll still win their division, but it might be closer than we thought like 4 weeks ago.
I think the Bears are closer to being a good team than people think. I'll say it. I think they truly only need a few more pieces on both sides of the ball, but I mean I'm talking like another receiver, a couple linemen, and maybe get someone tolerable at coach, and I think this team would be just fine. I mean, they have basically secured a top 3 draft pick. Go and get Marvin Harrison. They've got that Ohio State connection. Then go and get. I mean, you've got go get a lineman too. I don't think they're as far away as people think. And yes, I might be overreacting because they beat the Lions, but I just feel like you look at some of their wins this year, and when they have been clicking, they look pretty solid. I don't think they're as far off as some people think they are.
Matt Eberflus's job is being saved right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Bears, I mean, being at 5 wins, I didn't expect that. So,
yeah, I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but
no, I agree. And there are a couple of linemen away too, because Fields really does not have much time to get rid of the ball. And if he has that time and can make, better decisions, I think they're set up here in the next couple of years.
Yeah. All right. Little Jake Brown and Magic, baby. Bengals 34, Colts 14. Did we rate that last game? I didn't rate it, did I? I didn't rate the Lions Bears. I'm gonna go with MIDterranean because the Lions looked like shit, but the Bears, it was actually fun to see Justin Fields look good again. I like when he's playing good, so I'll give him MIDterranean. Going to the Jake Brown and Magic, like I was just talking about, little Bengals action. He went down for a little bit. Don't worry, sweetheart. He came back out there. You know how it be. Everyone was saying this Colts team could maybe sneak in the playoffs, and with the AFC, they definitely still could. But you know who else could? The Bengals. The Bengals, baby. Let's hear it. Rate the game.
Yeah, this rematch of the Apple Cup of 2018 between Gardner and Jake Browning. And once again, Jake Browning got the best Gardner. And another bad weather game, too. interestingly enough. The Bengals have some life. They have some hope. I don't think Gardner played bad, but honestly, the Bengals just looked like the better team. Surprisingly, I don't think I thought that going in, but the Bengals are right in the thick of things. So, and I'll rate this Mediterranean.
Kid?
Yep. I agree with Dodge. Also, Mediterranean. It was tied at 14, close to the end of the first half. It's a pretty decent game, but I really think the Bengals did a good job game planning for this. They did a lot of screens, a lot of quick passes. Used Mixon and Brown a lot. T. Higgins got robbed of a touchdown, a little bit of debatable OPI, but I think, a couple weeks ago, I'm gonna eat crow on this one because I said that they should just hang it up. They're 5-6. We thought if Burrow couldn't get this team wins, that Browning couldn't come in and do it, and he has. And all of a sudden, they're in a 6-way tie for the last 2 wild card spots, and they have a chance.
Dodge is grinning ear to
Yeah.
ear over there. He is so happy because he fought us on this one. He said, why? Why would you give up? You got 5 wins. You can't give up yet. And look at them now. They got 7 wins, and the AFC is not wide open, but it is anyone's game. Whoever plays the best could pretty much sneak in there. So
Definitely happy.
I'll give you the floor there, Dodge. Go ahead. Go
Just,
ahead.
I was right. If Jake Browning played well, this team has hope. And you know what? He has been. And I'm really happy for the Bengals. So,
Yeah,
I'm glad the team didn't give up. So
we wrote them off, and they didn't write back. I'm going to go with Mediterranean as well. I did think it was kind of fun to see Jake Browning look so good. I also thought Chase Brown played really well. They kind of had a 2-headed monster in this game with Joe Mixon and Chase Brown. They both played very well, which I think when you can get the running backs in the game and like they did, that just changes a whole culture. It's really an underrated thing in my opinion. When a running back gets going, it's defense starts scrambling. Like it's hard, So, going to our next game, very interesting game. Jags Browns. T-Law looked like absolute dog shit. I do not know why they forced this man to play. A lot of people are like, oh, he looks healthy. It's not the injury. I don't care. He wasn't there mentally. He threw 3 picks, and all of them were very bad. I personally, this team was 8-3 going into this game. Even if it's a question, I don't think you should play him because performances like that happen. He's focused on getting healthy instead of practicing like he normally does. He's got another thing on his plate. Just let him sit, man. There's no point in forcing this game. On the other side of the ball, Joe Flacco played pretty damn good, man. He had a bad pick, a little bit of miscue there, but overall he played well. This Browns defense is solid. I know they gave up 27 points, but they forced a lot of turnovers. Honestly, it's crazy this game wasn't more out of reach. So, yeah, interesting game. I'm going to give it grab your popcorn. I had fun with this game.
I'm going to give it Mediterranean Sea, and it's just because the Browns controlled this the whole way throughout. It never really felt like the Jags were going to make a comeback. Lawrence was on more drugs probably than any other player in the NFL this week. Probably could his leg, and it's probably what led to the decisions, all those picks, because he was just out of it. But no, the Browns, Flacco played good. Their defense played good for the most part until they gave up some garbage points right at the end. But they control this the whole way. Browns are 8-5 now. Is that division is close? The AFC in general is pretty close all the way around. So it's gonna be a good, interesting couple weeks to see where these teams end up.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a grab your popcorn game. Although I really dislike the sloppy football.
Absolutely,
we
yeah.
saw, because there were 7 turnovers in this game in total.
Mhm.
And that's honestly why it wasn't a blowout for the Browns, because they had 3 of their own.
Mhm.
And then Joe Flacco. I'd love to see an old quarterback come back,
Yeah,
play
he's
well.
38, man.
Yeah.
38.
And guess what? With this team on the Browns and their defense, you have a legitimate shot to win a playoff game.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So, I like seeing it. Joe Flacco has been named their starter for the rest of the season. Good job. He's by far their best chance. I think they dropped PJ Walker, cut him. I'm not 100% sure about that, but there's no need for him. And yeah, maybe Dorian Thompson Robinson learned something from the old vet. So all good for the Browns. Jags, this is a little disappointing, just because it feels like they're on a slide now. And I never really thought the Jags were that good either when they were 8-3, and now they're 8-5. So we'll have to see how far the slide continues. But this is a grab your popcorn game, fun to watch.
Browns. Do they have the best defense in the league?
It's tough because they're really good and they do what they need to do to win. But you can say that, with the Cowboys right now, with the Niners right now as well, the Ravens. It's tough. I think the Steelers, there's a lot of good defenses, and I don't know if any defenses really put themselves a clear number one.
We should talk about the Patriots defense too.
Yeah, true. Most points they allowed to was the Steelers in the last 4 weeks somehow out of all the teams they played.
And even then, it was only 18.
Yeah. So a lot of good defense, and I don't know if it's more defense is stepping up or offense is just playing poor this year as well.
I think it's a mix, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I just asked that question because you look at what the Browns have on their defense on paper, and you compare it to teams like the Cowboys and teams like the Niners, and we always hear about who's ever on their team. And the only person we really hear about on the Browns is Myles Garrett.
Yep.
And you look at the secondary of the Browns, guys like Newsome, guys like Emerson, they are shutting down receivers. And I think they need more credit. I really do. I think this Browns team is more than whatever they have on paper.
They have more,
which is why. So yeah,
they have Zadarius Smith as well, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, definitely a lot more people deserve credit than just Myles Garrett. I think that's the correct take.
Yeah. So, Dodge, what do you think? They got the best defense in the league?
I think I agree with Kaden. It's too hard to put. There's about 6 teams that you could put interchangeably in as the best defense. I would have said the Ravens, but then the Ravens just allowed 30 to the Rams.
Matt Stafford, man, don't count him out.
Cooking.
Yeah, I don't think Matt Stafford's got it. Yeah, he's played well, but it's gonna come back at some point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Too close.
Going to our next game, Panthers Saints.
God.
Anybody want to talk about it? Because I do not.
We don't got to talk about this.
Nope.
Going to the next game, Texans Jets. Zach Wilson, baby. CJ Stroud went down in the fourth quarter. I believe Nico Collins also went down in this game. Did not look good for the Texans, especially after how much praise we've been giving them this year. Thoughts?
This was a shit show game, I guess. I don't know. It was Zach Wilson's best game, so in a way that should make it MIDterranean, but Zach Wilson's not worth saving, so I don't root for him. And yeah, as much praise as the Texans have been getting, they kind of got, I don't know, they kind of got stymied by the Jets D. Yeah. So we'll see how the Texans bounce back and with the injuries to Stroud and Nico Collins affect them.
I agree. It was a shit show all the way. It was 0-0 at halftime, pouring rain, no all punts. That was it, punt after punt after punt. And then all of a sudden, Zach Wilson puts up 30 points, though, in the second half and has a pretty good game. So I think it was good for him after being benched and, reluctant to come, and then he got a win. So I think it's good moral victory for him. He'll start the rest of the year, see how they do. But for the Texans now, what happens with them, because Stroud's hurt. I don't know how long he might be out for. Their two top receivers are out. None of their other receivers stepped up. Schultz is out at a crucial time in the season when all these teams are 7-6, and every week you need a win. And this is a chance for them to tie the AFC West, or not West, sorry, AFC South up with the Jaguars falling. So in ideal time for the Texans to get hurt.
No, it is not. No, it is not. And that's why this is a shit show. I think it's also a shit show because now people are going to start giving Zach Wilson praise. And, he did have a good game. He did have a good game. I'll give him that, But come next week, we'll see if they have that same little narrative. We'll see. I think it gives them false hope, that they actually have something. So we'll see. I would love to be proven wrong. Actually, I would hate to be proven wrong. But we'll see. We'll see. So, going to our next game. Little Rams-Ravens action. Little OT. Little Matt Stafford throwback game. Little gunslinger him. Little Ravens looking like shit game. What do you guys think? Rate the game.
This definitely grab your popcorn for me, because you never knew who was going to win this game, back and forth. It was pretty fun to watch. Kind of sloppy at times, but Matt Stafford looked good. Cooper Kupp finally had a good game. It's been a while for him, stepped it up. And then to end in overtime on a punt return, where it looked like he was going to fall about 6 times, but kept somehow keeping his footing on the sideline. It was fun. It was a good game. The Rams offense has been playing hot, which is good because they're in a stymie of like 6 teams that are 6-7 in the NFC for the last wild card spot. So it's a good time for their offense to look good. They wish they could have got that, but they just fell short.
I did not realize the Rams were 6-7.
Yeah,
that's impressive. That take that I had a few weeks ago about the Rams never counting them out, that is looking damn good, boys. That is looking damn good. All right, sorry.
Yeah, this is a rate your popcorn or rate your popcorn, grab your popcorn game as well.
Got it. Buttery popcorn.
Yeah. So it was a good game, fun to watch. I actually didn't think the play was that sloppy, comparative to some of the games that we saw this week, especially. And obviously an overtime game with two teams that are fighting to get into playoffs. At least the Ravens are probably in playoffs, but they're fighting for the 1 seed. Stafford has looked really good these last few weeks, he's really cut down on the turnovers. And the Rams are resurgent. Played a good game, even though they lost.
Give it 3. Grab your popcorns. We're watching a movie, boys. It was a good one, and I love the ending too. You gotta, any game that ends on a punt return like that in OT, like that's crazy. I also think I think a lot of people would have looked at this game and been like, "Oh, Ravens are winning," especially because the Ravens have been so dominant this year. For them to have a close game against the Rams. Again, the Rams are freaking frisky. You cannot count them out. Like I will double down on that take. Like they are always going to play solid games. So another sneaky one that could sneak in. So going to a game I really don't want to talk about. Vikings Raiders 3-0. Holy shit. Any comments at all? Because I really don't know what else to say.
This might have been the worst football game in the last 10 years. This was horrible. Josh Dobbs magic over. But the thing that makes me the most upset about this game is the Vikings find a way to pull it out. They now have a 1-game lead in the wild cards. So there's 7-6. There's only 5 teams in the NFC with a winning record, and they're one of them. They have a 1-game lead over like 6 teams right now. Oh,
yeah,
so
I feel like it needs to be talked about because the Vikings look so bad, and yet they're like in a commanding lead for the playoffs.
they're the 6th seed right now, and Jefferson got hurt again off an absolute duck that set him up.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
I know. It was
Yeah.
so bad that it needs to be at least discussed. It was so bad.
And we were talking about the Raiders kind of getting a little mojo back to the last couple weeks, and oh my god,
No.
that's out the window.
I said it. If the Raiders wanted to win a game, they would play Jimmy Garoppolo and hope he starts playing better. Aiden O'Connell is not it. They'll draft a quarterback this next draft.
Well, that's all we gotta say, folks.
Boo the Raiders.
Next game. Doug, you might want to close your ears. Seahawks, Niners. Rate the game, boys.
Floor's all yours, Dodge.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna let me go first.
Nope.
All right. I'm gonna go MIDterrean for this game. It honestly was not terrible. It was back and forth for most of the game. Unfortunately, the Seahawks really needed one of these back and forth games to go their way, and neither did with the Cowboys or the Niners. Yeah, and honestly, I can't tell if the score was closer than it should have been or if the game was actually closer than the score. It seems about right, but I don't know, because at times it looked like the Niners could just move the ball at will. And at times it looked like Drew Lock could actually throw the ball. But ultimately, the Niners are just a better team. Drew Lock is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't want to blame this whole game on Drew Lock either, because it's not. But the Seahawks are in a difficult position if they want to make playoffs now, because the Rams beat them twice. They're going to need to go beat the Eagles Monday night. So, MIDterrean.
Yeah, MIDterrean for me as well, because Drew Lock actually came out playing pretty well to start the game. He had a nice touchdown pass right off early. And, it felt like if they had Geno, they might have had more of a chance in this game because it was pretty close with him. The Niners did have a lot of big explosive plays, but barring those big explosive plays, the defense actually played way better than they did 2 weeks ago against the Niners. So, but I mean, for the Seahawks, the Packers lost. A lot of teams lost that they needed to, besides the Vikings. So there's still a shot, and the Eagles are kind of faltering. So they have a chance to still make the playoffs, but they needed one of the last 3 or 4 weeks for sure.
Yeah, they need Monday night. I don't see a path without Monday night.
Yeah, I'm also going to go MIDterrean Sea. I just feel like, yes, I mean, there was definitely, in my opinion, I felt like the Niners were in control for most of the game. Was it back and forth? Yes, but it always felt like, even when it was close, that the Seahawks needed this. They needed this if they wanted to be in the game. And it just felt like the Niners were in more of the control. Purdy had some great explosive plays, but like you said, Cade, the defense did look a lot better against this team overall. So, but I mean, the Niners, it's crazy to me how many names they have. It's still, I don't, it's hard to wrap my head around it on both sides of the ball. How many guys they have,
It's
how
baffling.
how the hell can they afford that? It seriously makes you question. And at some point they will run into trouble with salary cap and having to pay this guy and that guy. But then I always remember they got that rookie contract, 7th round pick of Brock Purdy. So, but yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy that they're
I wonder if
able to
Ayuk
do
is
that
also
stuff.
on his rookie contract.
He might still be.
So I think that might be saving them.
Debo, I don't know if Debo is. No, Debo just got paid, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Debo's older.
Yeah,
But
Debo just got
I
paid.
have a question about with this game that's connected to the Miami game. So I'm gonna save it for that.
Cool. I do want to bring up one thing. DK Metcalf versus Fred Warner. Little DK gets thrown out. Niners player gets thrown out as well, not Fred Warner. Fred Warner says, I just told him he was good at tackling. Do you think that he actually said that?
No, he's a liar. Honestly, it's getting a little old with DK, who overreacted. And honestly, this is a classic Seahawks, though, is that they get kind of players that maybe aren't the most mentally stable or even keel. And Pete Carroll tries to wrestle them into the fold and goes, all Karate Kid mentor with them. But it's getting a little old. It's getting annoying.
Mm-hmm.
If it were a one-score game still and he did that, I'd be livid. I'd be pissed. I'd be saying we should trade him.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's super talented, it's hard to make up for all the 15-yard penalties he does get from these extracurricular. And if I were his teammate, honestly, I would tackle him.
Yeah.
Before he got up to go back at him, I would tackle him. Just because it saves me and my team a penalty. Fred Warner deserved to be kicked out of the game too. Not Lenore. Lenore did nothing. Lenore was trying to get the guy off. He was trying to get DK off Warner. So, sorry. Upsetting.
No, I agree with Dodge on this too. I mean, he did hit DK in the back of the head, which I know DK's had some neck injuries, but he did suplex him, and then he grabbed his face mask. And you can't say you're a star level receiver in this league if every week you're getting in a fight with someone, or you're upset because you're not getting enough targets you didn't feel like. And he needs to clean that up.
Yeah, I need to ask Dr. Eddie what he thinks about DK Metcalf, because this is some bad sports psychology, my guy. He's like you said, the perfect word for it is just immature. If you are a adult man playing football, you should not be having this issue every time. And the fact that he has even gone to the point where he has to trash talk in sign language, bro, just give it up. You're not learning. You're just trying to find different ways to do it. And it's just, I'm not a huge fan of it. I just think he's continually dug himself into a hole, and has limited some of the success of his team in ways, because he throws fits when he doesn't get the ball. He gets frustrated when he doesn't get the ball. And then he has little outbreaks like this. And I know it's not all of his fault, but other players see that. They're gonna get in your head, buddy. They know that.
Yeah, so. He definitely is affecting the team, and the penalties are all too common. Often they actually happen in close games. This one ended up being, I think it was 2 scores
too late,
at the time. Yeah. But it has happened in the past where that 15 yards really screws the Seahawks.
Yeah. Okay, I have a great question here. Who is more immature this week? DK Metcalf or Patrick Mahomes?
Honestly, Patrick Mahomes.
Seconded. Thank you. The fact that you can throw a literal fit on the sideline and then go to Josh Allen, not even say good game, nothing, just God, that was the worst fucking call I've ever seen in my life.
As if Josh Allen hasn't had terrible calls before. That was the funny thing. It's he's this only happens to me, sort of thing. It was what?
It was just such a narcissistic like, bitch move. Like, bro, like, grow up.
I know.
Like, I'm sorry that you didn't win against the Bills. You know, like, I'm sorry that your team can't line up with the ref that you've been doing since you were in elementary school. Everyone knows that rule. It's not hard to, put a finger up. Hey, am I on? They still do it in the NFL. It's not hard.
Heck,
It's
we do it.
stupid.
You guys do it in intramurals when we were
Yeah.
playing intramurals. Like, no.
I'm with you. Super immature. And then the presser too after the game, like he didn't calm down at all because he brought it straight to the press, bagging
Even
on the
Andy
refs.
Reid.
Yep. And the thing that kills me is like his excuse was it ruined greatness. The ref threw the flag as soon as the play started, didn't know, what was going to transpire on that play. And, remember last year in the Super Bowl when the Eagles got that holding call or the PI call late in the game, where are you going to bitch about it then? When it's on the line, you can't call a flag. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. I don't care what stage of the game it's at. And when you're lined up with the damn near linebackers, you're offsides on offense. I'm sorry.
There was like 2 yards in between him and Jawan Taylor.
Yeah.
When you look at it, like you could have thrown a penalty on Jawan Taylor for being in the backfield.
Honestly, I also think that, like Kaden said, it's one thing if the ref would have thrown it late. If he would have thrown it after the play, if he would have said, "Oh, he was offsides after the play," he didn't. He threw it right away. Like, what do you? He was only mad about it because it resulted in a touchdown. If that play had just been, I don't know, a completion to Travis Kelce at the 30-yard line, I don't think he talks about it as much.
No, he doesn't. In fact, that was his point, though, to be fair. But are we going to rate this game? We got to rate this game.
I don't know. This game, like, it was entertaining, but it wasn't as entertaining as I would have liked it to be, honestly. But I'll still say grab your popcorn.
I think it was kind of a MIDterrean Sea. I don't think it was really good football overall. Just an exciting ending with that transpired. But the Bills are up to a 14-0 lead to start. Chiefs didn't really play good, and the Bills couldn't put them away. They settled for field goals, and it wasn't as good of a game as I thought it could have been or should have been.
Definitely wasn't as good as we've seen. That's for sure.
It should have been a grab your popcorn game, and it was a MIDterranean Sea. I don't think we need to talk about it anymore either. I think you guys have hit on all of it. So
yeah,
it was fun at the end, but pretty much the rest.
Broncos country left to ride, baby, 24/7. Big win for the Broncos. Defense looked really good in this game. Forced some great turnovers. The offense honestly didn't click as much as I would have liked, but they made plays when they needed to. We had some explosive plays, some drops by Judy, some stupid calls by Judy. But overall, we won. Cortland Sutton, another catch of the year possibility. He's about, I think he leads that category with about 5 of them. So congrats to you, big guy. I definitely think he should be a Pro Bowl consideration, honestly. He's having a hell of a year. You look at his stats and how he's been playing. He's been playing solid. He's honestly been carrying this receiving core. So, but it was a mid game. Honestly, the Chargers looked awful, and overall, it was actually a pretty boring game to watch. So,
yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. It was a MIDterranean Sea. Yeah, Broncos in the end, like I guess I never really thought the result was in doubt. I kind of thought the Broncos were gonna win from the start. Of course, after they scored, I guess I should say, because going into the game, I thought it would have been a closer game. But then Herbert gets injured, and yeah, I mean, good win for the Broncos. Started out 1-5, and now they're 7-6, so they're like 6-1 over the last 7 games.
Yep,
really good job.
Yep. I agree with both of you. MIDterrean Chargers 6 points last week, 7 points this week. Just inexcusable football, even with the injury. And their leading receiver, who didn't actually drop a pass this week, was Quentin Johnston. So good for him. He actually caught a long bomb when it didn't matter, but he
Yeah,
did
I
catch
saw
it.
that. Yeah.
And the Chargers just disappointing season again. They got to make changes almost everywhere, it seems like, at this point.
Starts with their head coach.
Yeah, which how does he still have a job?
I don't know. I don't know. They obviously don't have fans to tell them. Going to our next game. Got Eagles, Cowboys. You know what, Kaden? Just take it away.
Yeah. As a Cowboys fan, it is a grab your popcorn, huge divisional game. It was just beautiful. Eagles, no offensive touchdowns, but it was a shit show overall because I know the Eagles are coming off of a brutal schedule, but there is no excuse for them in a game of this magnitude with the 1 seed and the division on the line at this moment to go out and play like that. They moved the ball a little bit, but 3 fumbles from their 3 best players is inexcusable. 24 points. Cowboys scored on all their first 4 possessions. Dak, he had his big game moment, and besides the fumble that got returned for a touchdown, he played a near perfect game and, put himself right up there in the MVP conversation at number 1, I'd say. Him and Purdy right now. And so it's just a good win for the Cowboys, especially starting their brutal stretch.
Yeah, I almost want to go MIDterrean just because how much this game is going to thrust Dak into the MVP conversation. I know he was just at the right before this game. He was getting into it. Now he's going to be solidly in there. It's between him and Purdy, and still in my mind it should be Tyreek in there as well, even with his injury tonight.
He still put up yards tonight.
He still did. So, yeah. No, I guess I'll go shit show because the game wasn't close, and the Eagles are having a lot of trouble. But I do really feel good for the Cowboys right now, and you don't want to get ahead of yourself.
Nope.
But it has been a good few weeks for the Cowboys.
Yeah, that was a big win. Kate, where did you go again? Did you go mid?
No, I went shit show overall. Grab your popcorn if you're a Cowboys fan, but shit show overall. Because
Dodge, I see your point, but I'm still gonna go shit show. I think it's just too big of a blowout for a Sunday night football game. I don't know. It just felt like from the jump, you could just tell the Cowboys were there. They wanted it. They were ferocious. I do think it does bring up a good narrative with Dak possibly becoming a MVP candidate, but overall, if I'm just talking about the game, I think it was a kind of a shit show. I mean, this Eagles team, we got to start talking about if they're frauds now, which I don't like saying. I think come postseason, there could be different storylines, but yeah, I think people are going to start putting them in that fraud category, which is interesting. I don't agree with it, but I've seen takes on it. So
I've also seen Jalen Hurts should be benched, which I think is also dumb. So
who's their backup? Marcus Mariota? Yeah. No, I'll take Jalen Hurts every day. Not saying Mariota's bad, but
no, Mariota's
a different level.
Backup, but yeah, no, I think they're just in a skid right now. So
yeah,
keep it going for Seattle.
Yep.
Dodge, I want to ask you something. Beginning of the year, you were not high on Dak. Have you changed your mind?
For this season. I guess he's inconsistent season to season. This season he's cut down on the turnovers. That was my biggest knock on Dak was that he had, I think, 23 turnovers in the last 25 games he had played coming into this season. And now he's had he's only thrown 6 picks, something like that. I'm not sure how many fumbles, but
many.
It's low. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm actually been really impressed with Dak. I think he's playing some of his best football of his career. He did have a year there in a couple years ago that I think is comparable to this one. But, yeah, this season's going really well for him. And he's been a top quarterback.
Okay. Let's go on to Monday Night Football. We'll start with the little Tommy DeVito. 24-22, baby.
I'm gonna go Mediterranean on this one, and it's just because the Packers, they came into this game looking hot, and we were like, oh, Jordan Love's been playing awesome football last 3 weeks, top level football, and they stunk it up tonight.
Yeah, they did.
And they still could have won the game because Saquon fumbled without being touched. They go down, they get a touchdown. Then Danny DeVito, the mafia behind his back, got him down the field, game-winning field goal. It really hurts the Packers' playoff chances, especially when they're looking hot right now. But it was just overall kind of a mid-game. I think the Giants well outplayed the Packers, and it should have been more than a 2-point victory in the end.
I'm also going to go Mediterranean Sea. I think this is actually close to a shit show.
That's where I'm going.
Okay, there's a lot of, sloppy, bad football being played. But what brings it up to Mediterranean for me is that last drive by Tommy DeVito, and he keeps his train rolling. I think if he keeps this going, we might see a Giants quarterback controversy coming into next season.
Bold takes on the Logical Nonsense podcast. Bold takes.
After they just paid Danny Dimes $40 million a year.
DeVito over Danny Dimes.
It'll be interesting.
You heard it here first, folks.
Well, I didn't say that.
I mean, they do play the Eagles twice and the Rams and the Saints in their next 4 games, so they can go 2-2 out of those 4. Get one over the Eagles, then I think you have a serious conversation.
There are teams that could use Danny Dimes, and he's under contract, so I think it's possible you could be able to trade him if DeVito continues to play well. That's the biggest.
If.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I just felt like Jordan Love did not look good at all tonight. Completely contrary to what we've seen the last couple weeks, and it was enough for me to wash my eyes out with soap. And so I just did not enjoy this as a double header on Monday night. I honestly was watching this Titans-Dolphins game more, which we'll get to, but I just felt like, I don't know. I don't want to watch the Giants versus Packers on Monday Night Football, and it was everything I thought it was going to be. Sloppy football. Just, yeah. So let's go to the last game. Titans-Dolphins. Titans pull off the little upset. Big, Tyreek was out for a lot of the game, and it showed. The Dolphins offense, when he was out, was not as electric. It was actually pretty dull. Not the greatest game from their offense on multiple sides of the ball. But Will Levis, man, he literally willed them through this victory towards the end there. They were down 19-27, I think. Pulled it off, so props to them. I don't know. Yeah, what do you guys think? Rate the game.
I'll go Mediterranean as well on this one. To me, this is both Monday night games were very similar. Honestly, you could have been watching either one, and you wouldn't have realized that there was a second game. Just because very sloppy football being played. Young quarterbacks make a drive at the end to win the game, whether it's Will Levis or Tommy DeVito. So, in a way, both games were interesting because they were close and upsets. But it is bad football being played, and ultimately I don't want to watch bad football. And I missed out on Tyreek Hill for a good portion of the game.
True.
So, who I think should be the MVP front runner it's unfortunate not to see him playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Dodge. I'm on this one. MIDterrean Sea, exciting finish, but with a couple minutes there left, I was like, "Oh, this Dolphins game's over." So I switched to the Giants game. Then they go down, drive it down real fast. Hopkins had a great game. He was balling on Ramsey tonight. Jalen Ramsey could not hold D-Hop. He played great. And then it's weird to say this, but the Dolphins defense outperformed their offense this game and their special
Definitely
teams.
did.
The pick
Definitely did.
six, the punt return fumble, which I don't know what the Titans guy was doing trying to catch that. But I
See,
also on that he got his arm grabbed. I want to point this out as well. On that fumble punt, the Dolphins guy grabbed the Titans player arm before he muffed it, but no one said anything about that. And then they get a pick right away, take a 13-point lead, and you think it's over, but it's not. And Titans will their way back in this game.
I want to disagree with you right there, kid.
Yep.
Because I don't think the Miami defense played well tonight. I think they were gifted things. Like that pick six was an absolute gift on a platter. That fumble recovery, gift. Like those are more Titan mistakes than actual like good Miami plays.
But
so
I said they
still
outplayed
say they
them,
played
though.
better than their offense.
Yeah, I guess so, just because they did put up 7 points, but I think it was more of the Titans were bad on offense than it was Miami good on D, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I also felt though that for most of the game, obviously he came up on top, but Will Levis was frustrated for a lot of the game. He had frustration in his eyes, and it felt like he got pressured some, and overall he was calm, but like on the sideline he was visibly frustrated at some points, and so I think when you see that, the defense is doing something to get into his head, but overall it didn't matter. Titans came up on top. Will Levis is in town. I doubted him at the beginning of the year, and I'm not saying I completely changed my mind, but I definitely have a different perspective on him for sure. I think he has at least potential now. Before I didn't see a whole lot of potential, but I definitely see potential in things he has for assets. But I would go MIDterrean as well.
All right. Is it time for the question that I wanted to bring up on this game?
Let's hear it.
In the Niners. So we hear a lot of conversation about Brock Purdy not deserving MVP because of all of his assets, right? But when Tua Tagovailoa was looking like he might be MVP, the same conversations were not happening, and I'm wondering why. And I want to know, who do we think is better, Brock Purdy or Tua Tagovailoa? Because Miami's got Devin Achane, Raheem Mostert. They got Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill.
I think the biggest difference, I would say CMC is loads better. I would say like CMC is top 1 or 2 running back in the league right now versus A-Chain, which I don't know where you would rate him, but I think he's way better. The receiver position, I think Tua definitely has better, but I don't know also because Debo's so like diverse and like in what he can do and bring to the field, because he's almost as good of a runner as he is a freaking receiver. So it's tough. There's just different players. I feel like I don't know.
But it's close, right? Which is my point. In my opinion, Christian McCaffrey is obviously a deciding factor, but I think Tyreek Hill deserves to be in that conversation of he's just different. Like you can't compare Debo to Tyreek. You can't compare Ayuk, right? Anyway, my point is that I think Brock Purdy's better than Tua Tagovailoa, and I think he deserves credit for playing well, and I think we saw Tyreek go down and the Miami offense not do so hot, just like we saw with Debo. But I still think that Brock Purdy just makes better plays and he's more consistently like on target. So I guess I just wanted to bring up the difference between the two.
Yeah, no, I agree too, Dodge. And I think a big part of it is the Dolphins haven't had a good team in forever. So when they're finally successful, they're like, oh, it's got to be Tua. So it's hard to hate on him and say he's just a product of the players around him on offense. Than Purdy with the Niners, who are always, a top team in the NFC. So I think that's a big difference. And also the Niners have a packed defense and the Dolphins don't really have much. So it's a small difference, but I see your point and I agree with you on a lot of aspects of it.
Yeah, I do see your point also, and I think another factor into that, Tua was a first-round draft pick, Brock Purdy was a seventh-round draft pick. They don't want to explain why Brock Purdy is so good. Their excuses and surroundings. Tua, he's a first-round draft pick, So I think that could play a part into it for sure. But good point. I like it. I like the thoughts, boys. All right, we're gonna go through a very, very quick rapid fire. Let's do it. Here we go. Chargers, Raiders, Thursday Night Football.
Can I pick neither?
Chargers.
Kid.
Raiders.
I'm gonna go Raiders as well. Vikings, Bengals at Bengals.
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 Steelers, Colts.
Colts.
At Colts. The second one I say is always going to be home. Broncos, Lions. These are on Saturday, by the way.
Weird. We'll go Broncos. Broncos country.
I'm going Lions. Bears, Browns.
Browns.
Yeah, Browns.
I want to do it, but I don't. Browns. Buccaneers, Packers. Packers.
Buccaneers.
I'll go Packers. Texans, Titans.
Titans.
Games,
Titans.
Man. Did you go Titans, Dutch?
Yeah. We both went Titans.
I don't know if CJ Stroud's going to play.
If CJ Stroud's back, I want to say Texans, but I don't know if it will be. Yeah.
I'll give it bounce back game. Texans, Jets, Dolphins.
Dolphins.
Yeah, Dolphins.
I'll also go Dolphins. Chiefs, Patriots.
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Giants, Saints.
DeVito's Giants.
Dodge.
I'm going to go Saints.
Giants, Falcons, Panthers.
Falcons.
I'm going Panthers. Second win of the season. Commanders, Rams.
Go with the Rams.
Yeah, I'll go with the Rams too.
Rams.
Although
Niners.
I think that will be interesting.
Niners, Cardinals.
Niners. Sorry.
I want to go Cards. I don't know why, but I'll go Niners. But
whoa!
Kyler Murray, they've been playing a little bit better.
Niners. This is an interesting one. Cowboys, Bills. In Buffalo.
Bills.
I agree. I think the Bills get us this week.
I'll go Bills as well. Ravens, Jags. Another interesting one.
Ravens.
T-Law did not look good last week, but he's going to look good this week. Give me the Jags, baby. Woo! Eagles, Seahawks.
Seahawks. They're going to make this race interesting.
Come on, Seattle. Come on. Give me a dub.
You going Seattle?
Yeah, I'm going Seattle. Prove me
Look.
right.
Seattle, you have lost me $5 last week. Going with the Eagles. Someone